Hey guys, welcome back to another one. This is Crypto Elite, home to the #1 Theta community. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And you can find me on Theta TV as well. Alright guys, in today's video, I am going to be talking about a rolling heat wave that is rolling through the US of A and how it has implications to the entire crypto market, and particularly how it does or does not have any implications for Theta, and why I am very happy with Theta being a proof of stake blockchain. So let's get into it. And if you're unfamiliar because you don't live in the US, right now we are having an extreme heat wave. And I know I've seen articles about this happening in Europe as well, in Asia. So there is all sorts of heat waves happening all across the world. So this, even though this is about what's happening in the US, it could for sure happen in any country, anywhere in the world. And let's talk about what the implications are. This article is from AccuWeather, and it's just talking about how hot it is. So it's over 100 degrees in the Houston or Texas area. The southern portion of the United States is just going through a massive heat wave. And if you're unfamiliar with Fahrenheit, it's approximately 40 degrees Celsius and warmer. So it is very, very hot here. And the heat has caused rolling blackouts in certain areas around Texas in particular. And this article goes on to say that most of Texas relies on ERCOT, which is the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, to supply all the power. And about 90% of Texans, about 25 million people, get their power. The issue is that the agency has sometimes struggled to keep the lights on during intense heat and extreme cold. So this is not usual. It is hot in Texas. It is hot in the southern portion of the United States, but this extreme heat is something that does not happen all the time and every year. So when it does happen, it has a lot of overarching implications. One of those implications being limiting crypto and Bitcoin in particular, Bitcoin miners. So this article goes on talking about how limiting crypto helped the Texas power grid weather a heat wave, and the heat wave's still going on. So I imagine the limiting of crypto is going on as well. And there's some good and bad with this. I do love how this has a positive spin, how crypto miners, they're kind of cutting back during those peak hours to help out the overall state and just southern portion of the United States. But at the same time, they're doing this and they're losing money by doing so. And one of the reasons why, we'll touch on it in a second, a lot of the miners, they moved to Texas because China kicked them out, and they wanted to go somewhere more stable and somewhere where they had more control. And not to say that they don't have control. I'm sure they could still turn on the lights and turn on the miners, and they are helping out, at least the way this article talks about it. But it is kind of funny how they moved from a country to get away from this, and they kind of went straight back into it. This is more weather than the government saying it, but let's check out this article. So the heat wave that we just talked about is disrupting the Bitcoin mining operations in the state, and they shut down their electricity guzzling machines, as the article says. And there is some, back and forth on how much electricity these miners actually use, but regardless of how much, if they were to shut down, that would be a ease off the load of the the electrical system. So nearly all industrial scale minings are state powered. They kind of toned it down a little bit, which was good. Over 95% of industrial scale Bitcoin miners curtailed their power consumption during peak demand times over the past week. And the Bitcoin miners were able to push over 1,000 megawatts back into the grid for 10 plus hour periods multiple times during the week. And like I said, this is very, very helpful because during those peak hours, in the afternoon and late evening when it's super hot, that is when everyone is cranking their AC and really pushing the electrical grid to the limit. And when they turned off their miners or turned them down just a little bit, every few thousand megawatts does help, and it definitely helped. So 1% change can make a huge difference for the overall state and not causing blackouts, which is very, very helpful. And like I said, this is all a part of a lot of the miners. They went away from China and they moved to Texas because there was a crackdown and China literally kicked them out. And the country was home to about 70% of the global Bitcoin mining power until they kicked them out. And they moved to Kazakhstan, Russia, and North America, primarily Austin, Texas, and all throughout Texas. And this article even alludes to, this article was written way in the past too. This was for September 2021, so last year. They even highlighted that this takes a lot of energy because Bitcoin is proof of work, and that is just, think about computers racing to solve the problem, a very, very difficult problem, and they want to be the first one to solve that problem. If they solve it correctly, then they get the Bitcoin as a reward. And when you have millions upon millions of computers all racing to solve that problem correctly, that's when the electricity power ramps up. And they even stated here that what happened to us in China won't happen in the US. And like I said, it's not the government clamping down, it's more the environment kind of throwing a curveball their way. But it kind of did happen. Even though they moved to Texas for stability and opportunity, and Texas takes their freedom and rights very, very seriously. And so do Bitcoiners. It's something that they love. Energy and political risk. I did highlight this a couple times because I do like it. So other than stable regulatory environments, the energy hungry industry is hunting for cheap electricity, and they found it as long as there's not a heat wave. And I don't want to continue harping on this, but there's just examples on examples of, this is something that Bitcoin and even Ethereum right now, because they are proof of work cryptocurrencies, they do not help the environment for one. They don't help the electricity grid, but something that Theta has that these other cryptocurrencies do not have is being a proof of stake type of currency. And proof of stake currencies, they do not use as much electricity, and that is something that we will check out. So Theta blockchain is a unique consensus mechanism. It was purposely built from the ground up, and it targeted the entertainment industry, but it is fast and it is green, and that's something that I want to highlight. Even the NFT marketplace, Theta Drop, at the very beginning at the landing page, they say it's fast, green, and powered by the Theta network. So once again, because it's a proof of stake type of blockchain, it is very green. And some numbers that we can go to look at proof of stake versus proof of work. Unfortunately, this website does not have Theta in particular. It has a couple other proof of stake blockchains. And I imagine, and this is once again me just hypothesizing right now, I am not 100% certain, but I would imagine that most of the proof of stake blockchains, they would have very comparable and very similar numbers as far as how much power they use. Either way, it would be substantially less than the proof of work blockchains. And the proof of work blockchains that they highlighted here is a single Ethereum transaction currently consumes a lot, almost 50,000 kilowatt hours for one transaction. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this is 100% true because that is a lot of power. But if you do think about it, like I said, it's all of the miners in the entire world fighting to get that one, to solve that one problem correctly. So maybe it is correct. And if we scroll down, we can see proof of stake versus proof of work, and we can highlight some of the proof of stake blockchains, one of them being Cardano, which uses a fraction or about half of a kilowatt hour per transaction. If you compare that to Bitcoin, it's about 707 kilowatt hours per transaction. So there is a huge disparity there, where the proof of stake blockchains are definitely more green, more efficient. And even though this is Cardano, I'm pretty sure the Theta blockchain is equally, if not more, green than the Cardano blockchain. So let me know what you guys think of this below. This is, once again, in summary, why the proof of work blockchains, especially right now in Texas and around the world because of extreme heat, they are highlighting themselves to be such more superior blockchains just because they don't use that electricity. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next one.